Hey everybody, we should be live. How's everybody doing? Welcome back. One Piece, 1136. It's been a wild week for us. Obviously, we're in Los Angeles, and there's been record fires and all kinds of different things, and a lot of anxiety and unknowns and stuff were happening in the past 2 weeks. But things are a little calmer now. A little bit. We're okay. We had some scares, but we're okay. And I've got to reorganize and put the studio back together a little bit. So I tore down a lot of it just in case the worst happened. So I'm in the process of fixing all of that. So even the streaming setup here is like mishmashed back together. But we're back, and there's a chapter. We're gonna read it. Hope everybody else is doing well. Putting a chat over here on the side. Don't worry, Big Stinky. Again was one of the first ones I saved. Catching up here. The shirt? Sure. It's a cool one. I like it. Computer's lagging a little bit, trying to get it to load the chapter. Well, I can see on Viz that we don't have a break, so that's a good thing to see right off the bat. Okay. The land that awaits the sun. Who's Who is still on Wano? We're on the first page here. So we've got Yamato looking for some place to take Hold'em. A place for Hold'em where they can hold him. I mean, we don't know what happened to Who's Who, so we'll see. Next page. It's so good. This mousse tastes like dinosaur, bringing us back to Little Garden. We've got Beard Hill here, right? And he still has a sword through his brain, but hey, you know what? There's nothing to worry about when you're 407 years old or whatever. Philly, through the super chat, said, great chapter this week. Well, I'm about to find out. And he said, hashtag RIP Lynch. Yes, great Dave Lynch. Chrissy's favorite director. So, she definitely had a response to finding out about that. Okay. Back to the chapter here. I'm surprised you got one. Moose is delicious, but the beasts are very fierce. I'd risk any danger for the man who saved my life. Thanks a bunch, Irodin and Stanson. Look at that! Luffy knows their names. Gaga. I'm glad you like it. Alright. And then on the bottom of the page, it's not often that humans come up here to the sun world. Usually they don't know how to get here, so they assume the underworld is Elbaf and end up fleeing. That's a fun little tidbit there. I like that. Next page. Really? But Ors was a vicious warrior whose story has been passed down through our history. Talking about Ors. Okay. That's right. He was 3 times the size of any of you. The man who finished him off was me. Yeah, Captain Usopp. He's gonna get himself a statue here too. Your skin really is blue. Folks are even more colorful at Fishman Island, like all the fish in the sea. Hope to see a mermaid one day. Beautiful gentlemen, the mermaid inlet is like heaven on earth. They're all... I don't know what to make of them, like, ogling Jinbei for his skin color. Like, that's a little wild. Oh, man. It's giving, hey, can I touch your hair? But, moving on. I feel like I'm ascending to heaven. Ooh, ascend. Just being in the presence of so many giant angels. Aw, Sanji, you're so cute. Ooh, I'm drowning in beautiful women. The Sanji that we all know and love. Next page. And what are you then? Me? Why, I've got the What Am I Blues. Yeah, okay, so you start singing a song. That'll be fun in the anime. A toast to the wonders of the vast world. Kind of surprised at how many giants haven't ever gone to sea. Okay, so that's Zoro saying that. Nami and Zoro having a little sidebar. Like that. Not all the giants on Elbaf were pirates. Oh, that's Road. Okay. Zoop. Ultra rare Nami, ultra rare Straw Hats, forgive me for my earlier indiscretion. No forgiveness for you. Make sure you apologize. This is awakening something in me. Arrested Development fans, where are we? Oh, no, wait, no, that's Community. It's Community that did that. Yeah. I hope this doesn't awaken something in me. Punish me, Gerd. And don't worry about it, nobody died. But only because Usopp stopped us from fighting back. As he takes a drink. Alright. If not for that, your head would have left your shoulders. Okay, we got some... You know, we need Zoro to really start talking that talk again. So I appreciate this. It's been a while. This is the Zoro that I need Demon Time Zoro. Yeah. Look at Road. Don't you know what their bounties are? Oh, Did we get new ones? You don't stand a chance against them. Next time he tries something, you just go ahead and do that. This is so stimulating. You don't understand. That was a dream that's held everyone born in Elbaf. We all wish to be the sun god and rule the world. Okay? Speaking to things that were theorized before we got here. Yep. Okay. Moving on to page 6. Closed for me. There we go. Oh, I'm muted. Zoro's the sun god, ... Don't be a fool. The sun god isn't a ruler. Yeah, he's a god of liberation. No, a god of destruction. Wrong, he's a god of laughter. And they all have their own interpretations of what he is or isn't. They're brawling now. What's this about a god? Elbaf is home to an ancient religious text known as the Harley. Okay. So that's our Bible, our Rosetta. Interesting. I like that. Because it's so ancient, there are many interpretations of it. Okay, yep. That's definitely giving Rosetta. Continues to be passed down, even though no one can translate it anymore, hence the confusion. According to the Harley, the world has twice been destroyed in the past. In each case, the presence of Nika, the sun god, is closely tied to it. Nika, ... He's just going for that meat. Next page. Ooh. A little more clarity on the who's who silhouette that we got in, what was it, 1019? Definitely, like, on purpose that we would see who's who at the beginning of this chapter, considering he's the first person to use the word Nika. Alright. Nika. Is he the hero who appeared to save the world from disaster? The destroyer who lays waste to all? He appears when the world is about to undergo a great transformation. Therefore, the great and mighty of the day always fear Nika's arrival. Okay, we're building. It's prophecy piece right now. Oh yeah, Nika. Bonnie was talking about that guy. Because he is the god of the sun. It is those without hope who seek him the most. Nika wears white clouds around him and appears with white hair, clothes, and a jolly laughter. That must be why everyone said I remind them of him. That has nothing to do with me. Next page. Come on, don't ruin all the fun, Stride. Everybody born in Elbaf idolishes Nika growing up. Oh, that's Goldberg's vocal stem, I guess. Though I won't defend whatever that moron Roto was doing. Even Loki, late Harald, in a sense, are the result of attempting to be Nika, perhaps. You don't have to rationalize Loki's action that way, Chief Jarl. Ja Rule. Oh, Loki. Is Loki a good guy? Absolutely not. Next page. He's the accursed prince. Even before Loki's birth, King Harald prophesied that he would be killed by his own son. Shortly after he was born, he killed the royal family's lucky horse. It was the same year Linlin killed Chief Jarl, legendary warrior. So he was born and killed the lucky horse? Because in the Big Mom flashback, he was literally just born. And then I don't remember there being a huge time jump between them talking about the birth and then like the solstice. It felt like it was like all around the same time. Baby came out the womb wanting to smoke. Alright, so the country was beset by natural disasters, and the queen passed just a year after giving birth to Loki. He made the underworld his playground, using his innate strength to kill and control the vicious animals down there, then unleash them on villages. At just 10 years old. And then we've got a giant wolf there, so, and a snake in the background. So, you know, two of Loki's children in Norse mythology is Fenrir, the wolf, and Jormungandr, the snake. There's, from what I remember, nothing really tied to Loki about a gorilla or a bear, so only 2 out of the 4 things in this image really mean anything. Arson, devastation. Loki's many pranks threatened our lives. And he's doing the Nika laugh. Or the Nika pose, I mean. Between his status as a prince and his cruel personality, he made our lives hell whenever King Harald was away. Worst of all, next page. Loki killed Harald, the greatest king in Elbaf history, right in his own castle up there. The king and Radiant King tried to connect Elbaf to other countries of the world that were so terrified of our warlike ways. Chief Ja Rule was there and tried to stop Loki. That's when he got stabbed in the head. His helmet saved my life. The helmet didn't do anything. It was about 6 years ago, I believe, that Red Hair caught Loki rampaging at sea for us. Shanks did that. Oh, I heard that Shanks is here. He's around a little while ago. I don't know where he went, though. Zoro's got the ... That's interesting. What about hearing Shanks' name now is perking Zoro up? Outskirts of town. I thought it was weird how fidgety you were. This would explain it. That guy killed the king. The whole country hates him. Obviously, everything he told you was a lie. He said he knows where Shanks is. Do you have any idea how much I want to see him? Yes, you talk about it all the time. It's a way for him to take advantage of you. I think Loki doesn't even know? We doing a time jump, or are we going back in time? So is this where we find out that Loki was freed by Luffy and he told Zoro, and the ... is like, oh boy. Anyway, I'm just basing it on his reputation. I didn't see the guy. I'll tell you everything I know, including where Red Hair is now. If he's lying, I'm not letting him go. Beat him up instead. I wondered why you were sneaking around. Have you guys ever gotten to your destination without me? Listen up, Luffy. I'll get the keys to his cuffs, but we're gonna decide if he's telling the truth or not. Got it, thanks. Why is he here anyway? He's my servant now. It's an honor. But I'm servant number 1 and Sanji's number 2. Got that? That's Zeus saying that? Oh god. Alright, so now Road is servant number 3. What a stimulating torture method. Who's after? You know, I think we share a lot in common, both being navigators. Never try to close the distance between us again. No, of course not. I feel bad that we're taking the star of the show away. Bought some meat. Did you try any of this moose yet? We're all properly hammered now. We won't even remember what the feast was for. Is Road still, like, planning something in the background of this? Oh. Is that the castle? Going to the castle? Oh, it's about to get spicy.
It's about to get spicy!
It's such a shame that the treasure in the castle will be disappearing. What do you think, Rhoda? My eyesight is poor. I doubt I would even be able to tell that it's gone. That's why you're here, Nami. Huh? Your eyes. So that's what this is about. We're gonna cut back to Loki here, page 14. The underworld. Agahahaha. Alright. Take your point, and in that case, I refuse. I think I'm gonna spend the one life I have stooping to the level of trash? Gee, thanks for the information to the most noble knighthood in the world. What are you then, celestial dragons? Oh, they're not at the castle anymore. See, that would have been the interesting thing. The interesting thing would have been if they were at the castle and then they, like, you know, we just get into the action of it all. But no. Where's the intel from? The agents dispatched to Elbaf sent one last transmission. That a giant crow had appeared. Nothing since then. We don't have any dirt on him. Okay. So this would initially make most people think that Karasu is here and that the Revolutionary Army is here. But Norse mythology, Odin, like, I really don't think that we're dealing with an Odin. 'Cause I feel like Odin really should be a Void Century character, but Odin is also represented by ravens and crows, so that there may be someone that actually has, like, a crow Zoan on Elbaf. So, let's see. Agents dispatched to Elbaf sent one last transmission. So, are they... Now, if these are the Holy Knights, are they trying to say that they had sent other Holy Knights to Elbaf and, like, they got taken out? Next page. We gonna get an Oda box for this girl? But now I hear him for myself. He is supremely insolent. Hey, what's up, Barry? I just saw the page where Nami's eyes were Barry motivated. Interesting look. This bandage stuff going on. Holy Knight Gunko. Those boots are made for walking. I like that a lot. And we're definitely dealing with some sort of bandage devil fruit here, which is awesome. Really dig this design. It's very koala coated. The different eyes are interesting. It's something you see in a lot of other animes and mangas that like we just haven't seen yet in One Piece. We should simply erase him. Don't get ahead of yourself, Gunko. Next page. Okay. Gobble him up, wolf. Hey, you breathe on me. Oh man. They're really giving off Celestial Dragon here. What? Hey, wolf. This is crazy. It's been a while since we've seen a good feat like this. So I'm here. I'm on board with this. I don't know who would be better for this fight, Nami or Robin. Like it feels like it's built for Nami, but I think it would be really cool to see Robin fight someone that like can restrain you, because it's very similar to what Robin does in a way. Next page. This will probably be the end. Hopefully not though. Wolf. If we offered to spare its life, would you change your mind? You're offering me a deal? In that case, your fate is sealed, my friend. Die, be at peace. Yes, I'll be sad, as well as angry, but a warrior doesn't quibble and whine about his way of death. Instead, I'll feed on this rage, and use it to bring the world to ruin. So I'm confused here, because it's like, it sounds like he's turning them down, but to end the chapter on this would imply that he's agreeing. Let me read this again. You're offering me a deal. In that case, your fate is sealed. Die and be at peace. It's like everything he's saying is like, okay, well, you know, no, I'm not going to take your deal. Just kill me, and I'm not going to whine about the way that I die. And then the last panel is, instead I'll feed on this rage and use it to bring the world to ruin, is almost saying like, all right, whatever, you know, I'll, you know, it's very reminiscent of Luffy with Zoro when he was on, you know, at Shell's Town. And I'm wondering if that's what the vibe is supposed to be here. Like, here's Luffy saying, hey, become a pirate with me, and, you know, let's turn the world upside down. And then Zoro saying, okay, but if you get in the way of my dream, then, you know, I'm gonna take you out. I'm just confused by the wording here. So I'm gonna need the chat to tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think Loki is accepting this deal, or is he turning him down? Brandon's saying he's talking about the wolf. Okay. In that case, your fate is sealed, my friend. Die and be at peace. Okay. All right. Yes, I'll be sad as well as angry. Okay, so he is accepting the deal, and he's letting the wolf die, or he's not accepting the deal, and he's just letting the wolf die. He's not accepting it. Okay, yeah, he's letting the wolf die. Got it. Got it. He's turning him down. Shout out to Evo. Member for 44 months, said, I feel like the world ended twice already, but is huge pre-lore. Yes. What's that about? Also, Gunko's arrow kind of looks like what Emo used on Sabo. No, it definitely does, and I immediately thought of that when I saw it. What if that's like the misdirect and Gunko is Emu? It'd be an interesting twist. Wouldn't be the worst twist in the series. But I'm not gonna like put stock into that. Shout out to Lydia for rejoining.
Another one.
Appreciate it. Catching up on the chat here. Dave Earn. Brandon said Robin and the wrappings mummies are a part of history. Yeah, I feel like Oda's going to have Nami fight her, but I want it to be Robin. I think it'll be more interesting. Touchy said, I'm gonna destroy the world as Loki's. I'm gonna be king of the pirates. That's interesting. I like that way of looking at it. It is kind of drawn there like that. I think it's still meant to reflect that Luffy and Zoro scene from Shellstown, but here it's like, what if Zoro turned Luffy down? So I like that. Reddit 52, Randy, I need your thoughts on what you think Gunko's abilities are. Devil Fruit, or maybe a part of the magic that the Elders use. I would love if it's a Devil Fruit. I do want more information on the magic that the Elders use, but obviously the arrow is very reminiscent of what Emu did to Sabo and Cobra, but I think that we need more cool devil fruits that we haven't seen, and something like the bandage no me, or wrap fruit, like whatever, like the style of Gunko's clothes also is what makes me feel like this is a devil fruit. So that she's just a bandaged human, and that's more exciting to me because I feel like we need more devil fruits, and it's always exciting to get some like new paramecia. Like Oda went like crazy with Zoans for so many years, and Dressrosa was basically like reskins of everybody from Baroque works, to the point where it's felt like Oda ran out of ideas for paramecias for a long time. So to see something like this is like, it's fresh, it's One Piece, it's pre-time skip. So like, I'm totally on board with this being a brand new paramecia devil fruit. Jin, member for 40 months, said Oda purposefully left Robin behind during the Nika talk, and purposefully left everybody else behind while Robin is in the library. He doesn't want everybody to know the story. Everybody's got to find out what is important at the same time. Brandon said, given that imagination makes interpretations vary, and given that the world was destroyed twice, what are the odds that we have two Nika fruits, one of liberation and one of destruction? I think there's ways for Oda to do sort of like a yin-yang thing without it being that on the nose. But I don't know. I mean, if this is really like Shanks' twin brother and everything, like I've already been pretty vocal about how like I'm not crazy about that. So, and if that ends up being the case, then I wouldn't outright turn down what you're saying, Brandon. But rather there just be one fruit. But you know, if we start getting into the idea of, you know, fruits are made by willpower and thoughts and imagination, you know, if there were so many people out there that really truly believed in a god of destruction fruit or something, then I imagine it could manifest. Would it be Mika? You know, maybe not. Maybe it'd be something different. But it's like Oda is clearly trying to stretch this out by telling us who Gunko is, but not doing an Oda box for Shanks and or Shanks's in clone, whatever. I still want it to be Shanks. Is the story trying to tell me that it's not? Yes. But that doesn't mean that I don't still want it to be Shanks. Because as I've talked before, it's just more interesting if it is Shanks. Because then he has things to to talk about. Shanks becomes a really boring character if this isn't him. Enzo said, what do I think that Luffy and the castle crew are going to get into? I think that they're going to get into the castle and they're going to find the bandaged, damaged, hurt giants. And one of them is going to say that Shanks did this to them, which is going to get Luffy all riled up. And they're going to say they were asking where Loki was, which is going to embolden them to go back to where Loki is. But the only interesting thing at that point is if they get back down to the underworld, Loki has to be gone. Hey. W's in the chat for my guy Ty. We got the lavish activity in the chat. My man said the Gods Knights recruit talent. Gas on Cologne for hitting the Nika pose. Feels like we're closer to a confirmation that it's Stabs, not Shanks. Don't say that. Don't say that. I don't want that. I'm not a Stabs supporter. I don't care. I'm not about this Stabs business. It's gonna be really funny if it ends up being that, and Oda names him Stabs just because of the community. The two floods Vegapunk referenced actually affected Elbaf. What's up, Savage Crew? Yeah, we need context on both of these times that the world has been destroyed. It's obviously we know of Void Century, right? But this is implying that there's something else even before that. Like, how long has this been going on? So we're getting drips and drabs of everything, and I'm glad that we did get some lore piece this chapter, and we need more of it. It is interesting that the Gods Knights want to recruit talent, though. Like, that is something to discuss. But I feel like it would have to be for a means to an end. Like, I don't think that they would be really, like, open to, like, hey, come stay with us in the Holy Land and all that, unless he's of some sort of royal lineage that had something to do with the Void history, and they're just trying to bring back their people into the fold. But, you know, maybe it's a situation like with Cobra where, you know, one of the 20 kings was a giant and defected from the world government, and then stayed kind like Cobra throughout the generations, and then now finally Loki is the one where they're like, okay, wait, this guy gets down to business, so hey, why don't you come back and we'll take care of you. It could be something like that. That's the only way that I would, like, sort of buy it. It makes Cobra a little less unique, but I'm okay with it, I guess. Just need more context overall, and I'm back at that page where, yeah, it definitely, Cologne is not only is he hitting the Nika pose, he's hitting the Nika smile, which I didn't notice on my first read. So this kid's gonna be a big deal. You know, we're in the final saga. Like, we've been having all of these proteges, all these people that, like, could inherit will from Luffy, and we could end up with a situation where Cologne is, like, the actual final boss of who's going to get the true inherited will. Miguel said, I like that it could be Shanks too, but the finesse has to be right. It's just, Shanks has more to answer for if it's him. It's like, why you living this double life, bro? You know, but it's also a situation where Shanks could be like a double, triple agent, you know, of sorts, where he's riding the seas, making the Holy Land believe that he's a pirate working for them, and then he's working with them really to keep his crew safe and to figure out how he can change things. You know, there's ways to... There's a lot more interesting ways where, you know, instead of, you know, if it's a situation where it's not Shanks, and then Shanks comes here and is just like, you look like me, and I didn't approve of this, or you're my other brother, and, you know, now we're gonna fight. And it's just like, why would I want that over Luffy seeing Shanks here and him doing something, like, really horrendous, and then Shanks, like, being like, and then Luffy being like, how could you do this, you know, blah blah blah, and then Shanks having to, like, rationalize and answer for it. Like, that's way more interesting than, hey Shanks, let's work together to take down your brother. There's people out there that will really like that. There's an element of that's cool, but it's not better than the other way. Yumil, super appreciate you. Yumil said, since his birth, they've been calling Loki a destroyer and curse, so might as well play into it and act how they expect him to, even if he isn't at fault. Yeah, I mean, that could be a little bit of, you know, nurture versus nature, where it's like, you know, even if he didn't kill that horse because the horse died, they, you know, just kept calling him evil, and then he just sort of like, he went with it. You know, everybody's scared of me, everybody doesn't like me, you know, whatever. And then they just created their own downfall. Whereas if maybe they just showed him some love, he would have been a good king or something. Who knows? I mean, there's definitely like something that Oda could do and say something about that if he wants to go down that way. Tayante said, could this mission actually be authorized by Garling rather than Emu? I mean, I feel like the Gorosei can make calls like that without talking to Emu. I don't think that he needs to be, you know, briefed on everything, but we'll see. Shin making a reference to these guys are S.H.I.E.L.D. pulling up to Loki, like, I'd like to talk to you about the Holy Knights Initiative, the Avengers Initiative. Brandon said, what if each world or era was a time period? Like the Nolan's era, like Age of Cayenne, etc. Well, I mean, you know, that's definitely like a I mean, that's the way that Japanese culture is broken up, you know, in eras. So, and I mean, we see that in One Piece. This is my era, this is this, you know, like, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get some form of that. Reddit 52, member for 24 months. Hey, 2 years. Will we see Stabs' face will we see Stabs' face marked by flames? So you think Stabs is a man marked by flames? I don't think that we'll get a situation where any of the Holy Knights are the ones marked by flames, but there was an implication from Lafitte in the flashback during the Hachinosu section, where basically Lafitte was implying that the man marked by flames is someone that's government affiliated. And it's like their way of preventing another Roger, their way of preventing someone else from getting to the final island. And I don't think that we should like look at that as a throwaway thing. I find it more interesting if the man marked by flames is a pirate, but Oda has kind of told us that they're government affiliated. So does that also include the Holy Knights? Maybe. Tayante said exactly what I've been thinking, Randy. Basically, this is similar to Xavier being able to seek out mutants and recruit them and take them in. Could be the same for them because of lineage. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm also thinking that it has to be like a lineage thing. Like there had to have... Obviously, Loki is of royal bloodline, you know, some sort of royal bloodline. So it's like, how far does that go back, and how connected to the government in the past were they? To where now, because of Loki's ruthlessness, they're basically like, okay, we want you. We didn't like Harold because he wasn't down with what we're down with, but we figure you See you later, Vern. Miles said Susumi is rapping, so I could see Gunko's devil fruit being called the Susu no Mi. I like that. That's cool. Crushknot said, I just keep remembering that the wrestling boss Cologne in real life was in the room when Bruiser Brody was unalived in real life. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible that we'll get a scenario where young Cologne has to see the death of somebody, you know, important. And I think that we're going to need some sort of catalyst for Ragnarok, and it's going to be somebody's death. Kind of like a Franz Ferdinand kind of fuse needs to go off here, and Brogy getting killed could potentially be something like that. Ja Rule wouldn't be big enough, so and it's not that I want any of, you know, our great giants to die, but we need some sort of a catalyst. We need something huge. By all accounts, nothing has happened yet in Elbaf. Like, that's going to move us into a direction of where the story's going. Obviously, the Robin and Saul stuff is great on an emotional level. We love that. We're here for that. We're the pioneers of loving that. But we need something bigger. We need a catalyst. Shout out to Dak in the chat. He said, did anyone tell Randy that Harold's sword is the one in Ja Rule's head? No. But I'm sure that if I took more time to look at that silhouette of Harold, that I probably could have pieced it together, but I wasn't, like, you know, I didn't do that deep of a look into it. But that's cool. I like that. Tayate said, it's really sad, bros, to see some people, you know, don't even be knowing the wrestling references that Oda puts into the story, especially now in this arc. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to bring attention to that for a long time, and it's been getting a little more traction recently. And, you know, I've been seeing a lot of people, like, copy and pasting the stuff that I put out about it. But hey, you know, it's letting people know what's happening here. And it's so on the nose. It's so obvious. It's just... But it's not like... It's nothing that Oda hasn't been doing the entire story. You know, it's the Dragon Ball effect. And obviously, like, I'm wearing a Dragon Ball sweater right now, but it's like... everybody's named after food. Right? That was just like, that was Toriyama's naming scheme. So it was just, you know, all of the Saiyans are vegetables, and you know, how many of the characters are rice dishes, and it's all like different types of meals and different categories of meals. So it's like, you know, like all of the Namekians are, you know, a type of instrument, right? Or, you know, it was not even necessarily like yeah. I mean, like, especially in early Dragon Ball, you had Piccolo, drum, you know, it's just that was just the naming scheme, and you can see Oda's influence on that, where everybody in Kaido's group, they're all named after card games, right? You know, for the most part. There are outliers and everything. But it's just the category for the Giants is that Oda is looking at wrestlers. Like, that's the thing. That's it. Dax said, "Hope you and the family are doing okay, Randy." Yeah, we had like 3 big scares, and we did leave LA for a little bit, just because things were crazy, and we did have a tree hit our roof the first night of like really bad winds. A huge tree. It luckily didn't really damage anything, like internally at least. But just I talked about it at the beginning of the stream, but I mean, like, just the anxiety the past 2 weeks of, like, are we going to have a home? Are we going to have our things? Like, what is going on? It's very stressful for, a lot of people, and even more stressful for the people that were absolutely directly affected. I don't know. This whole thing is just it's just been awful. Saeed said the crow that Gunko mentioned was Rhodes' crow or raven, Mugen, that captured the Sunny and brought it to the Lego world. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I still sort of expect someone to have a crow Zoan, though. Or a raven Zoan or something. Like, Dag said they just look the same. They have the same curved hilt thing. Technically, it could be a different sword. Maybe all Elbaf swords just look like that, but I feel like it's gotta be Herald's. Yeah. I mean, if it's Herald's, do we get a scene where the sword is, like, pulled out of Ja Rule? Is that how he dies? Like, does Loki show up and, like, claim his father's sword and kill Ja Rule? That'd be dirty. Neil Diaz, member for 44 months, said, was Loki taken at sea by Shanks or by all of Elbaf? See, that was an interesting thing too, by telling us that Loki was out at sea when Shanks got him. I wouldn't mind seeing that flashback. I want more context on that. Brandon said, check the Loki flashback pages. He legit hits the Nika laughing Gear 5 intro pose. Yeah, I called it out in the read. But there doesn't appear to be any deity flames there, so... 3-Day Trip said, Gunko's name directly translates to ward drums in Japanese, or military child. Means battle warrior in Old Norse. Seems intentional by Oda for start of war. Yeah, I feel like I've heard that name before, or like... I've heard the word before. Cool. Watching some sort of like military anime or something. Probably heard it a bunch watching Full Metal Panic. Brandon Arnold said, yo, here to show some love. Haven't read it yet, so I can't stay. Enjoy, fellas and ladies. Love you, Randy. Appreciate you, Brandon. Thanks for coming by. Thanks, Jen. Dizzo, what's up, man? Today's the live gamer said, yo, Randy, I got a theory. Ja Rule got hurt protecting Loki from the king when he had a chance to kill Loki for whatever reason, which led to the king getting distracted by Ja Rule's actions, which led to his death. I mean, we've got to muddy it up a little bit. You know, we don't know if it's going to be that exact sort of situation, but I always, you know, Oda generally will give us the bare bones of something that happened, and then when he is ready to elaborate on something, you'll see both sides of everything and be like, oh, there's a little more to this. So hoping that'll be the same case here. Teach, will Loki side with Luffy after he sees Gear 5th? Will he think Luffy came to destroy the world since Nika has multiple titles? I would prefer that if Loki is meant to be bad, that seeing Luffy go Gear 5th would break his spirit a little bit. You know, in the same, like, I kind of want, like, I guess you couldn't be Joy Boy either, but more of like an internalized version for him. Like, I guess I'm not Joy Boy after all. And kind of see, like, I remember during Wano, I kept saying, like, I want that flashback where Kaido realized that he wasn't Joy Boy either. And I wonder if we can actually get that in real time with Loki. I think that the character's being set up to eventually, like, side with Luffy, but not in an anti-hero way. Not like I'm riding for Luffy now, but more so that whatever the other threat is in Elbaf, Loki will get involved and do something that'll turn the tide in a way. Lydia said, are the Harley texts older than the poneglyphs? That's interesting. I'd hope so. Like, I think that would actually, I think that would check out for me. Like, I'd be on board with that. Will Robin be able to read the Harley? I mean, that'd be awesome. You know, or, you know, maybe that's her goal, is to, like, use the library and the knowledge that she has of the poneglyphs to piece things together and, like, work towards transcribing the Harley. Like, that would be a fun character thing for her to do. In the same way that, like, Frankie can be seen for not an entire arc because he's fixing the Sunny or something. Like, give Robin something to do that is in character, you know. Not that I really want to take Robin out of the action completely, but this is the arc where she really should be doing archaeology more than anything. Crushnot found a wrestler named Harley Race, aka the Great Mortimer, aka Jack Long, aka the King, aka Handsome Harley Race. Probably a reference. He did many tours in Japan wrestling. This has to be another wrestling connection. I'm sure. I mean, anything related to Elbaf seems to be pulled from some sort of extensive wrestling knowledge that Oda has. Crushnut said there is a wrestler named Loki, like Ki Blast from Dragon Ball, but he's fairly new. I don't think that he's a super strong connection. I think that Loki is more of the outlier, you know, and a direct reference to Norse mythology more than anything. And that's okay. Did the stream just start? No. We've been going for about an hour or so. Brandon said Harley in Japanese can be read as Haley, like Haley's Comet, which fits with the space theming of certain characters. Is that what the scans called it? The Haley? Crushnot said Terry Funk was Harley Race's rival. That's interesting. And Terry is the connection to Dory. Dory and Terry Funk were brothers, and Dory's sword is the Terry sword. So we'll see how that comes together. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici supered and said, just came in, so I apologize if it's already been discussed. But do you think the Red Line creation might have been the first world-ending event? It hasn't been discussed, but I like that idea. So in the beginning, there would have been some sort of event that gives us the Red Line. Then another event that floods the world. I'm not going to rule it out because, I mean, like, it's one of the biggest mysteries in the story, and it's like a gargantuan event for that to have happened in the first place, so you might be onto something. Saeed said in Japanese it's Hare, which is the way you say the name Harley, Haley, the actor Haley Joel Osment. And the scans called it the Harley as well. And said, imagine when the Cena giant is introduced, there's people playing trumpets. Need that. Someone was saying that John Giant is already the John Cena connection. No, but I really need a Cena. I need a Flair. Woo! I need a Flair ASAP. Almay said, surprised there hasn't been many Japanese wrestling references with the Giants. Jono Misawa. Well, I think that Oda is probably trying to use more like American wrestlers to differentiate everything. Do you give some of these Elbafians like a traditional Japanese name, then it kind of ruins the mystery, the mystique, I guess, of it all. Because then it feels like we're back in Wano, maybe. I don't know. Little Dream said Rowdy Piper would have killed. Well, we already have Piper the owl, and Rodo, I think, is like a reference to Roddy. Could be the Road Warriors, but I don't know. Now that, you know, it was... Once it just kept being Rodo instead of Road, that's when I was like, oh, so Roddy. Yeah. We'll see. Exactly. Emil said the Elbafians are West-coded and not Oriental. Brandon said the Ric Flair giant will have a woo-hoo-hoo-hoo laughter style. That would be amazing. That's what it's got to be. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. There we go. We figured it out. Oda, you watching? Where's he at? Imagine the John Cena giant is just Shiryu, but embiggened so no one can see John Cena. Well, we need Shiryu to also have Samwon Wolf's ability then. Oh yeah, I'm looking at this panel of Harold now, and that is absolutely Harold's sword inside Ja Rule's head. Like the way that the it's not exactly the hilt. I forget, you know, that precise part of it. I mean, it's part of the hilt, but the way that it like curves upward is, you know, it looks like a stapler, a staple, before it gets punched in. That's, and then we go from that panel basically to Ja Rule with the sword in his head. So yeah, that's definitely what happened. Yeah, the pommel. That's it. Yep, the guard. Exactly. Wheel of Dreams said, would Pizarro be the Rock? Technically, we already had Rock and Scotch. So as long as we find out that that Elbaf has Frost Giants and the Yeti Cool Brothers are part of it, then we technically already had the Rock. Mike Locke said, what if the pirate that stabs / Shanks, we don't know that it's not Shanks, wanted to talk with the Gorosei about was Loki? We all assumed that it was Shanks and wanted to talk about Luffy or Blackbeard, but that's interesting. You know, if we could go all the way back to 909 and it was like a direct thing setting up Loki, I'm on board with that. Brandon said, what if Ja Rule is killed by Kaido in his return to parallel Big Mom killing Jorl? I don't want Kaido back. Okay? I don't mind if Big Mom comes back. I don't want Kaido back. I'm done. I had enough Kaido. But I like the idea of Shanks being the one. Like, that would be interesting. Like, they all love Shanks, and then if Shanks, you know, like, turned on him, or if it's Stabs or whatever, and then they think it's Shanks, you know, whatever gets us some sort of mileage story-wise, then you would have two emperors that technically would have taken out these two guys. Drew Beat, super appreciate it, said, does Blackbeard know about Emu? Does he think that the throne is really empty? Blackbeard knows a lot of things. Does he know about Emu is a great question. I think it would be really interesting for him to know, like, that he's, you know, like, he's one of the only people in the world that actually knows that this character exists. But I think it's better for the story and better for Emu's character if they don't know. You know, I think it's a better surprise when Devon, you know, is pretending to be Saturn and then is approached by Emu, because they also don't know that Saturn's not dead or something, you know. It's like, oh, you messed up. You didn't have all the information, did you? Because Blackbeard's gotta have a moment, which has never happened in the story yet, where one of his plans just, like, utterly fails. The closest he came was getting, you know, washed by Magellan, but then even then, Shiryu shows up with the antidote, so it still works out, and he gets his, you know, right-hand man, in quotations. So, but it would be a really cool scenario. Devon gets the Holy Land, is like walking around as Saturn, doesn't know that Saturn's dead, and then runs into someone that does know that Saturn's dead, which is either any of the Gorosei or Emu. And then maybe we never do get a Devon versus Nami or Devon versus Robin fight at all, because that character gets like killed in the Holy Land for impersonating Saturn. Or they just get drastically wounded, and that's how Oda justifies Nami being able to beat this level 6 prisoner, because they were wounded. So it like nerfs Devon so that Nami can win. I see people thanking Saeed in the chat for his knowledge. It's always like Saeed always comes in clutch. So that's shout out to Daxaki, member for 12 months. Wow. Like these stream savages. Oh yeah, I didn't hit the button yet.
Come with me if you want to live.
Dax said theory, Oda is hiding Shanks' eye because he has one like Gunko, and his voice is different because he's controlled by Emu, so Loki didn't know it's him. Let me think about this. Because there is a thing with eyes in One Piece. You know, like Hakuba, Emu, Mihawk, Gear 5 Luffy. Let me look at Gunko's eye here. Gunko's eye is a little different, though. I was hoping it would be like one of the controlled eyes. Like, it would be interesting if more Holy Knights had this sort of eye thing, and it was because they're remote controlled by Emu or something like that. But I think that this is just a what is it, heterochroma or something? She's just got a weird eye. And when I say weird, I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I mean, that's a common thing in the first place. Dak said the double ringed eye theory is back, in my opinion. Yeah, but that's the thing here, is that we don't have the double rings. That's why I went back to the chapter. I was like, wait, is it the double ring thing? Because then I'm on board. Because it's not the double ring, I'm like, I don't know. But if, you know, Shanks or Stabs has the double ring here or something, maybe. I mean, Oda is deliberately hiding whoever this is left side of his face constantly, so I'm tired of the games, Oda. Just let this man take the hood off. Now, the other thing too here is that, you know, in terms of Loki recognizing Shanks, Loki's eyes are bandaged, so, and observation hockey hasn't, I don't feel like it's hunter enough to where like Loki could be like, oh, I feel Shanks's presence, you know, or Dragon Ball Z enough, like. my thing is that, like, if this isn't Shanks, then Oda's gotta, like, stop dragging this. Because it's not a good twist. If it's not Shanks, it's not a good twist. And it is not something that he needs to, like, hold on to. And when I say it's not a good twist, like, I'm not talking about, like, that it's not good for the story, because that's a separate thing. I also kind of don't think that it's great for the story. But it's not something where it's like, oh, it's so clever that this is not actually Shanks, that I'm going to hold on to this for 20 more chapters and then say, gotcha, when the whole community is already talking about it. And that's something that I have an issue with in movies and TV shows, when they, like, hold on to something that's already been telegraphed and then wait to the end of the movie or something and be like, gotcha? No, because you told me like 15 minutes in that it was that, and then I was waiting for you to go and do something with it and then build off of the twist and the reveal of that, but instead you made the whole thing about the twist that wasn't even interesting to begin with. So we've got Gunko here. Oda's got one, maybe two more chapters here to pull this hood off and tell me if this is Shanks or not. Because otherwise, it's just what are we doing here? Shout out to Drew Beats. Superden said, I think Emu needs the Celestial Dragons. I just don't know what for. Thoughts? To keep the world in his image. You know? I think that's that's more about what it is. It's having all of these loyalists and I don't think it's a thing where, like, he needs their energy. He's gonna feed them to some sort of machine. Their blood is special. It's not. I don't think it's deeper than just comfort. Three Days said Gunko's actually a cyborg, and that's a cybernetic eye. I could buy a cybernetic eye. That I could buy. The legs, like those boots, very cybernetic. If this was a robot, I don't know. Maybe I'd be okay with that. But I still like the idea of it being a person that just has really cool fashion style and a really cool Paramecia Devil Fruit. Dax said, I don't think I don't think the reason he's hiding the eye is because there's no scar. It's going to be because the eye is different, so he knows something's going on. Yeah, it's like if he pulls the hood on and he's just down and he just doesn't have the scar, then it's crazy. But I think it's like Oda wants us to have these conversations, but the time for having those conversations is kind of peaked, I feel. So now it's like, pull it down, show us that he has the scar or doesn't have the scar. Is he Shanks? Is he not Shanks? It's time to know. I'm tired of spending like 40 plus minutes each stream now on whether or not this is Shanks or Stabs. Like, I'd rather just, like, this is what it is. Okay, now that we know, what is he going to do with this character, and we can talk about that. Seal Vladiminovici, super appreciated, said tinfoil theory, it is Shanks, but from the evil timeline. I mean, look, I want it to be Shanks. Now, getting into alternate timelines and stuff, that's wacky. And I don't mean that in like that's not a cool idea way. I just mean that in a way like if we start getting into alternate timelines and stuff like that, that's where the story could get muddied. You know, it's like when you start introducing time travel that goes both ways, like Oda was very smart to say, no, this time fruit can only go into the future. So we can't go into the past and start changing things and, you know, do Back to the Future, do Avengers Endgame. You know, it's more Terminator. It's just, you go back once, you can't go the other way. So even though in Terminator, you know, you are going backwards, which does create paradoxes. Oda's way is, I can't create the paradoxes because I can only go into the future. If we start doing timelines, then we're branching things off, and then suddenly, like, we're changing one timeline and doing stuff, and, you know, then we need a TVA, and, you know, I know we have Loki, but it's a little crazy. Dak said Gunko pulling up to the frozen tundra without pants is bold. Well, I mean, she's got the bandage fruit, so she could keep herself warm, but she's choosing not to. Almay said, if Gunko's part robotic, that might be cool, kind of like Kuma in that sense. The only thing that I would want for Gunko to be robotic is her legs, because her legs look robotic. So, like, if she lost her legs and then, like, had them replaced with, you know, robotic parts, and then maybe her eye, like, that'd be cool if she was, like, part cyborg, but, like, the rest of her body is, like, just is normal, like Frankie in a way. Teach said, the Harley text mentions the world being destroyed twice, with Nika mentioned each time. Can you explain this? We know about the Void Century. You know, was there a rebellion after that which destroyed the world? I'm thinking that the world was destroyed once before the Void Century. So there's like, there's a void even before the void. So unless there was something that happened like right before Noland and Calgara's time. That would be my secondary thing. So there's the thing 800 years ago, and then maybe something 400 years ago, but that's my second choice. My main choice would be that there's something 800 years ago, then maybe a few hundred years before that. Because it might be a thing where they tried doing something a few hundred years before the Void Century, realized what they did wrong, because like some sort of like counter rebellion started with Nika, and they were able to get their forces up, and then there was this giant war, and then the world government and Emu and whatever, they came out on top and were able to wipe everything from, it's not the Void Century, it's like the Void Millennia. Like, that would be a twist. That would be a thing where, like, Robin's reading a poneglyph, and it's like, wow, I thought it was only 100 years that were wiped from history. It's actually 1,000 years was wiped. You know, like, that's a crazy thing to read and find out. Lydia Raven, super appreciated. Lydia said, sorry I was MIA all of December. The holiday season gets busy at work. Don't worry, December is like super busy for me also. Yeah, it's like, I've got, you know, it's become the busiest month for me too. I really want to. I really want them to make a full version of Brooke's song from this chapter for the anime. New World still makes me cry. It's so good. Yeah, that was something that I mentioned during the read when Brooke was doing a song. I was like, oh, this is gonna, this is gonna be great in the anime because they're probably going to make it a song. I don't know if they'll do a full song. That might get crazy. It depends on if they want to stretch things out a little bit and make things fun. Then I think that they get really excited about doing music for Brooke and for the show, so it could be like a Nekomamashi type thing where they, really just go with it. I just, I'm excited for when the anime gets here. I'm muted. Oh my god. I just cooked too. I just cooked. I cooked so hard it was crazy. Who said it? it was DK. So DK said, "My guess, the two holy knights have snuck away and are hunting Shanks of their own accord. They know Loki was defeated by Shanks. They've come to him to get his possible whereabouts." So this is interesting, and there's a way that this could work, where it's like, if this is a situation where it stabs and it's not Shanks, and they are hunting Shanks, and they're talking to Loki because they want to take down Shanks, so they're like targeting people that have been bullied by Shanks. I'm going somewhere with this. Then it's the thing where like, hey, we're gonna take down Shanks, and Loki says, okay, fine, I'll help you take down Shanks, but once we're done, like, I'm gonna be free on my own accord. And sure, yeah, whatever. But then this could be how Oda brings back Kid into the story, because Kid would also want to take down Shanks, but it would be interesting because he'd have to work with someone that looks exactly like him. And that's a way where, you know, I always say, like, there are ways to do something that isn't great for the story and then find great ways to rationalize why you did it in the first place. So it's like, while I really don't like the idea of stabs, and I also really don't like how Kid has been handled in the story, it's a way to kind of merge two things and get a good thing out of something bad. So it's like you would get Loki and Kid working together with someone that looks like Shanks to take down Shanks, and that's like a whole lot of things that I normally wouldn't like, but when you put it all together, then I'm like, okay, now we're cooking, we're dealing with something. It's interesting. So you looked like you were cooking. Yeah. I think I like the first time I said it, it was better, and I had, like, you know, I had the light in my eye. But Fresh Nut Super to tell me I was muted. I accidentally muted myself. Just catching up on the chat. Everything everybody was saying while I was muted is hilarious. Neon Roger said, Holy Knights have an open roster spot. If it isn't Loki, it's Rob Lucci who needs promotion for taking down Stussy. I just don't care about Lucci enough to, like, see him carried along in the story like this. I feel like we've done everything that we can possibly do with Lucci. And I know what Oda was going for in Egghead with, like, I think he was trying to recreate the magic of Impel Down with, like, Zoro and Luffy working with Kaku and Lucci, but it didn't work for me in the same way that Impel Down did. It felt forced, where Impel Down felt so organic, like, oh, this is great. So now it's like, I don't know what Lucci brings to the story, what he does for the story, other than to, like, really just show how far Luffy's improved, which that already happened. So Take care, Lydia. Feel better. Lucci can join Who's Who's Cat Club. Yeah, right. Lucci will turn against world government, finishes his circle from obedient orphan agent to his own man. I mean, that's what it seemed like Oda was trying to do in the cover story. And then he turned them CP0 and didn't give a flashback or anything to understand why he would have gone back to the government, which is why, you know, I came up with the theory that they have to be slaves. Like, they had to have been caught, and then the only way to get out of their, you know, out of prison or going to Impel Down or something was to become indentured to the government and be CP0. It's just like, well, we won't put you in prison, but we'll let you be guard dogs for the Celestial Dragons. Because, one, you know too much, and two, you're actually really powerful, so you're useful. You know, like, that's a rationalization that makes sense to me. It's not canon. It's not what's in the story. It's just what I've believed. And my issue with Lucci turning and everything else is, like, the story has gone on for so long. We all love One Piece. We all appreciate for how long that it's gone on. But you can only get the true feeling of a Marine turning against the government once. You know? Maybe twice. Like, where it's like, where it feels like really earned. And the person that has always been set up for that has been Smoker. And that hasn't happened yet. And then, in the meantime, you also get introduced to characters like Fujitora, Kuzan, Kizaru now, an Egghead. You know, what's going on with Kobe? Like, all of these characters seem to be, like, for the government and against the government in various ways, and, like, inclined to defect, Kuzan already having done so. Sakazuki being upset with the Gorosei, like, is that setting up some sort of a defection from him, even though he's like a super loyalist that, you know, killed all those people at Ohara? But meanwhile, like, you look at the early parts of the story and everything was setting up Smoker to be the one questioning the government, turning against the government, joining up with the Straw Hats in some sort of way. Ended up happening in Punk Hazard. But then it's like, if this story was compressed, I don't know if we would have had all those Marines. I think we just would have had Smoker, and Smoker would have been that guy. So having Lucci and the rest of CP9 also do it, it's just like, it cheapens it, and it shouldn't, but it does, just by the sheer strength of how long the series has been going on. Monte said, what's the topic right now? Just Lucci's future or CP0 in general? Well, the question started, like, could Lucci become a holy knight? And then it was more about, why do we need Lucci to be important to the story anymore at all? And then that went into the idea of people defecting from the Marines and how effective that is from a story standpoint. And how many times can you do it before it really feels stale? But it's like the only one that's actually meaningful for me, that will be meaningful for me, is when it happens with Smoker. Everybody else is just, they're Smoker clones that are getting more development than he is. Dak said, my body, mind, and soul all ready for season 2. As they should be. 3-Day said, if they are recruiting Loki for God Knights, does that mean the other God's Knights aren't Celestial Dragon? Maybe it's okay to take them in as subordinates. Well, that's why I was saying that it's the only way that this makes sense for me is if we find out that one of the 20 kings was a giant, and that Loki's bloodline is actually tied to the original kings. Because then it makes sense. It's just like, you know, Harold and all of his ancestors were more like Cobra, and they defected, and they didn't want to be associated with the government. But Loki is the accursed prince. He's evil, in a way. You know, they probably think that they can strengthen themselves by bringing one of the royal bloodlines back into the fold if they can get Loki on their side. So that's my headcanon right now. Shout out to Rufy for
Another one.
Appreciate you. See you later, DK. Neon Rogers said, where's the giant who fled Big Mom's birthday party? We don't know yet, but I've speculated that that giant could be the one that fishes Kid out of the sea. God's Knights and Celestials are separate. God's Knights have their own ideology. Lily's ideology? I don't know about that. I don't know if they're following Lily's ideology. That would be crazy. Jacob said Oda expanding ancient history lore to be even further back than the Void Century. At this stage, the story's crazy. He's cooking something wicked here. Yeah. Need more context. Matt B said, yeah, I think the Holy Knights are like selecting bloodlines to integrate or something. If they want to recruit Loki, they recruited other non-celestial dragons, I think. It's not like they just went to someone random. Loki is a prince. He's a royal bloodline. Like, they're not gonna just go to anybody. They're not gonna just go up to, I don't know, Helmeppo and say, hey, Helmeppo, we want you to be a holy knight. You know? He's not a prince. He's not a, he's not a king. He's not any. He has no ties to that we know of, to the Void Century or anything like that. Whereas Loki could conceivably have ties to back then. I'm going to take one more look at the chapter, see if there's anything else that I can pick up on, and then I think we're going to wrap it up for today. I like that they mentioned ores. I'd like to know more of, if they're talking about what has been passed through their history, I'd like to know what that is. I think that Road is going to betray them again. I still don't trust Road at all. And I think that this shot of Zoro saying that, like, he's going to, like, take Road's head off implies that we're going to get into a situation where Zoro may be threatened to do that. Not that I'm saying that he will, because it's a little graphic for One Piece, but like, if the Holy Knights came up to Road and said, hey, we want you to, you know, blah, 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 he would be like, yes, immediately. Of course. So... we all wish to be the sun god and rule the world. They all might wish to be the sun god, but ruling the world seems like a singular thing there. You know, which, of course, is what starts the fight here. That he's not a ruler, he's a god of liberation, god of destruction, god of laughter. Everybody's got their own view of what Nika is. Just like they'll have their own view of what Luffy is to them when they see him actually go Gear 5th. And then Luffy's not going to have any sort of care about all of that, because he'll be all of that without being any of it. Yeah. No one here other than the Straw Hats has seen Luffy go Gear 5, so when he's talking about, oh, that's why I remind everybody of him, like, they're just like, ha 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 ha, ha. Yeah, right. Harold's design is interesting, and it makes me think that we're gonna get, like, a Harold flashback at some point. The fact that Oda went out of his way to create a, even if it is in silhouette, to create a look for Harold, makes me think that we're gonna see Harold at some point. I think my favorite part of the chapter is when we're in the outskirts and it's just like Zoro and Luffy talking to each other. We don't get enough of this kind of stuff anymore, where, like, they get a bunch of information and then we kind of take a moment to digest it as a crew. I would have liked to have done a little bit more of that before we transitioned back onto the boat and get on the painters. Do we know why they have Road with them? Is it just because he's a navigator? Did I miss that in the road part of the story here? Because it feels like they just have road with him so that he can betray them. So I think now, if I want to read into what Gunko is saying, they're trying to find other holy knights. So there's some other holy knights on the island right now. So that's interesting. See what the chat's saying. Crushing up page 9, bottom right, Loki and Nika pose. Yeah, I called that out when I did my initial read. I mean, he's pretending, you know? He's a fake, he's a fraud. He's a fake Nika, so that's all it is. He's just pretending. And Roger, next chapter predictions. Luffy and the gang go into the castle. They find the bandaged giants, and they say that Shanks attacked them. And then Luffy gets all mad and yells at them, saying Shanks wouldn't do something like that. They went to find Loki, and then the crew heads down to see where Loki is. And the interesting thing would be if Loki's not there. But if he is there, then, you know, we'll see where the story takes us from there. But, that's what context clues are telling me. Shin said, have I seen Sonic 3 yet? Even 1 and 2? Yep, went to the theaters to see 3. It was a lot of fun. Took Mars. I liked it. Feeling Rado was there for ease of traversal. Okay. But other than that, I think that's what's coming for us in 1137. It would be nice to step away and get some information on what else is going on in the world. I don't know when Oda's going to do that. I don't think it'll be 1137 based on the way that the chapter ended. But maybe we see Frankie do something, like what his storyline is going to be. We have a whole other side of the crew that's split up, and it's just like what's necessarily going on with them. I don't think we're going to get a huge lore dump back to back, but I'm never gonna say no to one. But I think the immediate thing is that the Straw Hats enter the castle and find out what happened there. So, but other than that, that's going to, I think, wrap things up for today. Unless anybody has any like last questions, I'm gonna call it and see everybody next week because there's no break. Luffy can't break the chains holding Loki. Do we think the God Knights can, or do they already have the key? Is it said that Luffy can't break the chains? I think Luffy just made a choice not to. Shout out to Zeno for the super. Said, Joy Boy will definitely be the focus of things to come late game, but do you think Nika and his story could get characterized just as much? Example, a second major flashback. Something that I've been saying, even, you know, like middle end of Egghead, when we were talking about Elbaf being the next arc, I was saying that this arc has to be about the origin of Nika. Like, it has to be about Luffy learning what Nika is, who Nika is, and what Nika means to people. Luffy's not going to care, but he still needs to hear it, and we need kind of an inversion, like a parallel, flip, whatever Oda wants to do, of the scene in Fishman Island where it's like, friend or foe, you decide, right? He has to go Gear 5, all of these people have to see, like, hey, this is your god. He's here. It's him. And anybody that thinks that they're him have to, you know, bow down to Timothy D. Luffy. So now, as far as like the truth of the matter is, we have the Owl Library. The books are there, the texts are there. Let's talk about what's on the Poneglyphs. Let's read the Harley. You know, let's see what this is. Let's break down what Nika actually means so that we have an understanding of what Luffy has to do, or who he has to be in the eyes of other people as we go deeper into the final saga. So, and I've always said that there, and this makes sense with everything actually, now that, you know, I can actually go back to an earlier theory, because people were asking, like, what are the two times that the world has ended, like, what do those things mean? And now I can actually go back to an earlier theory, which I didn't do earlier, is that I said, when everything was happening in Wano 1044, 1045, and everything, I was saying, like, Nika had to be a person and Joy Boy had to be a person. And I said, even back then, that it was like, we need the Nika flashback and we need the Joy Boy flashback. So it could be a thing where the first time, you know, the world ended was with the real Nika. And then what Nika did became such a prophecy, such a story, you know, whatever, that when the Ancient Kingdom popped up and was, you know, started getting advanced and started creating devil fruits, then everybody, you know, the stories and the dreams of Nika manifested into the devil fruit. So Joy Boy became Nika again because the spirit of Nika continued on through Joy Boy. And then now we're in the third element here, where Luffy is continuing not only the spirit of Nika, but also Joy Boy. So it's the third iteration. So it's possible that we do get 2 flashbacks. Could it be too much? I don't know. Maybe that's why Oda said he doesn't have time to tell us about Rocky Port, because he's got to do those 2 flashbacks. Neon Roger said, yeah, I thought they were sea stone, but Luffy broke the cuffs and the collars in Act 2 of Wano. They were sea stone, right? What's the difference? You just use Rio, right? Isn't that the whole thing? As long as you're quick about it, you can do it now. even though that kind of nerfs the only kryptonite for Devil Fruit users. Like, oh, if you're really good at hockey, like, it doesn't matter. I don't know. Krashna said, would be interesting if Robin could read the Harley text, and what she reads is not what the Giants think it says, and creates a conflict. I would love that. It's like, well, that's not what we've been believing, and that's not what the telephone thing said. You're reading it wrong. It's got to be wrong. Yeah. I love that. That's what I want to happen. Yeah, and Roger said at the end of 2023, Oda said that there was a great war about to start that would make Marineford look tiny. Do you think the Holy Knights appearing at the end of 2024 means it's coming? Oda actually said that years before that, if I remember correctly, which is what made people think that Wano was going to be that. I've always felt that Elbaf, just by the nature of Ragnarok and the Norse mythology, has to be that great war. But it would be interesting if the language of that, and I don't know if Saeed is still here, and he'd have to speak on that. You'd have to find, it's not something I expect him to have off the top of his head. Everybody translated that as it would make Marineford look cute, but it would be interesting if the characters, the katakana, the hiragana, the kanji, whatever Oda was using in the language there, if the word that was translated as cute could also mean tiny, because then it could be like a double entendre, sort of a sneaky way of hinting that it was always going to be Elbaf, because we're dealing with giants. So if there was something in the language that implied size, physical size, then that could be interesting. Krishna said, if we spitball on that more, perhaps Loki knows what the Harley text really says, and that makes him an ally of the Straw Hats. When he says he wants to destroy the world, it's for good reasons. Links back to Fishman Island, Luffy destroying them, like the world needs to be destroyed to be reborn, or to break the cycle or something. Yeah, that's interesting, but then, it also begs the question of why wouldn't he just join up with the Holy Knights then? Because then it seems like they actually have the same goal at that point. Right? Like, if they've already destroyed the world twice to keep things preserved. But the other thing too is here that that we have to think of, and I just thought of this, is that Loki calls himself the sun god, right? He thinks of himself as the sun god. He thinks that he's Nika. Does the government think that he is? Does the government think that he still has the fruit? Are they curious what fruit he does have? Do they think Luffy could be the imposter? Do they think that they need Loki on their side to take down Luffy to make sure that, they don't have a Nika situation? Or if it's a thing where they do think that he's Nika, they want to keep him close so that he doesn't, rampage. I think there's an element of, this whole idea that Nika is always around when there's some sort of cataclysmic event that's going to happen, that is relevant to the Holy Knights talking to Loki as well. The Holy Knights want to destroy it now or protect it? Or did their faction destroy it in the past to shape it in their view? I mean, definitely a situation where they destroyed it in the past to shape it in their view, and then I would feel like they'd want to keep it in the the image of what they have going on, but there's too much opposition to the way that they're living now, that they might have to burn it all. You know, they've said it's time for another great cleansing, right? So there's been 2 cleansings already. So now it's time for the 3rd one, so that they can wipe all of these people that were inspired by Roger to change the world. Yeah, Roger, is Loki's special bounty a reward for recruitment, or just Kingslayer or something else? I said when we found out that he had a special bounty that it's probably a thing where his bounty is only alive, like Sanji's was, or something like that. And then if we're tying it to this idea that he's being recruited by the Holy Knights because he does have Celestial Dragon lineage, that the royal bloodline of Elbaf goes back to the 20 Kings, then it would make sense that his bounty is special because he's technically a Celestial Dragon. Now, the difference there is that why, you know, that begs the question, then why doesn't Shanks have a quote-unquote special bounty if he is also of, you know, some sort of Celestial Dragon lineage or anything like that? That's the, you know, the other question to kind of think of. So we just gotta wait and see. I don't know. But I liked how I was about to end the stream and then you guys started cooking and causing me to, you know, cook some more ideas. And I think maybe some of the best stuff in this stream is right here in the last 10 minutes. But I don't know. But then, you know, maybe it's a different thing here, right? Whereas, like, maybe if Vivi got a bounty, it would be a special bounty. But because Garling is only a holy knight and not necessarily a, like, one of the 20 kings, right? Maybe that's what's different. Like, if it was a thing where Loki is a descendant of the true 20 kings, he has a special bounty because of that. Shanks is not a descendant of the true 20 kings, just, you know, he's just part of the families or something that came along with that. Doflamingo, was he said to be part of the 20 kings? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe he's... But unless it's supposed to be a thing where, you know, all Celestial Dragons are descendants of the 20 Kings, which I feel like is something that was said, but maybe it's a thing where also their viziers and everything like that came with and just sort of, you know, became Celestial Dragons because of it as well. He's part of 20 King lineage. Then what I'm saying doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't matter. We don't know if Vivi has a wanted poster yet, Neon Roger. I would love to find out that Vivi does, though. I think that would just be like a cool thing for the story. But I think I'm gonna wrap things here, guys. I know we're cooking and all that, but the stream was fun. and I'm excited that we don't have a break. So we're gonna get to do this again pretty soon. Just another week. And then I know that I have been teasing doing some gaming content. I still want to do it. It's just been crazy with all these fires and everything like that. Like I don't know. So maybe there'll be some Marvel Rivals content. Like I mean, I play a lot of it. I just have to set it up for streaming. So, but yeah, I don't know. This was fun, guys, and I'll see everybody soon. All right. Take care, everybody.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.